this episode, Dude, Brett, and Tyler sit down to drink some of the bourbon and talk Christmas gift ideas for the bourbon lover in your life. Find out more on this episode of The Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, do you want to support our podcast? Do you like bourbon gear? Visit our website at www.bourbonhunters.com to buy some of our custom bourbon gear and support the podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I am Duke Poole. I'm joined by
Brett Ryan,
Tyler Schaefer.
And we got the gang all back together again here. We've got
the band's back.
The band back. We're on a mission from God.
Blues Brothers there.
Blues Brothers. So, we've had a Thanksgiving episode. We've had a, what was the episode that we did after, was that the... I don't know. I have to look actually, but we got a little Christmas gifting type episode coming up here. That's what we're doing today, and we're just going to drink some random stuff that's what would we say, like under $60 basically?
Probably under 50 or 55.
Yeah. Well, what's the Woodford? It's like 50, isn't
it? 50, 55 maybe.
And what's the small
batch?
We'll
say retail without tax.
So we'll say under. We'll just say under 60.
I thought 1792 was still like maybe $35.
Why don't you look it up? Do some research, buddy. Earn your keep.
Put some fucking work in.
So, right now we've just got a little primer of Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, which is
surprisingly good.
It's highly underrated.
Yeah.
And we were talking before the episode, and one of the things I think before we get going into this is just those, some changes in the industry. Like you were talking about, Tyler, all these different new distilleries popping up left and right. Multi-million-dollar, multi-hundreds of millions of dollar distilleries that are just popping up everywhere, and just.
It's a big investment with bourbon too, because it's not like vodka. You don't just take it right off the still.
Well, but a lot of times they start that way.
Yeah.
While they're making their bourbon, they're also making vodka so that they can sell something immediately. Same thing with gin. So they'll come out with vodka and gin to buy some time.
Yeah.
And then while their bourbon is aging, 2 to 3 to hopefully 4 to 6 years, they're selling vodka and gin and stuff like that. Some places will actually source in the meantime. And so they'll source and buy from someone and actually Lux Row is an example of that.
And the same contract distill.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Source or contract, either one. I mean, it's similar type of thing. And the difference being is sourcing is they're going to buy what's in stock, and then contract distilling, they're going to send the recipe, have it made for them, basically. Yeah. But either way,
probably a little bit of both, actually.
But the contract distilling still has to be aged, so they're going to source if they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Some places will contract distill until they get the ability to actually, make their own bourbon. Like OKI, for example, before they became New Riff, that's what they did. They sourced from MGP, and then when they were able to start handing over their bourbon as bourbon, they actually switched their name and didn't just stay OKI.
Why? What's the story on OKI now?
They were bought out by another group of people. They bought the naming rights, basically, and now they're sourcing again from MGP. The new people are doing what the original people did with OKI, which is all OKI ever was anyway, was a sourcing place. I think it was like Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana is what it stood for, or something like that.
Okay. It's really just Indiana.
Well, that's where it came from.
It's like
but
the tri-state area.
Sure.
But they were based in like that Cincinnati suburb of what's it called, right across the river, Newport, which is technically in Kentucky. So I don't know if that's where the OKI came from, but it could
I was just there, by the way. I went to Party City, and they didn't have shit.
Yeah,
like I hunted. When you go to Party City, do you ever just pop into New Riff's?
No, I didn't. I probably should have.
They have a pretty good gift shop, and their stuff's good.
It is.
They usually have some new single barrels in there too.
Yeah, it's so uneventful. Like I've never been inside, but when you pull up, you're like, oh, that's New Riff. It's just.
Well, what do you want it to be?
I want it.
Do you want a red carpet rolled out every time you pull in the
parking lot? It's like a Buffalo Trace experience.
Yeah,
where you can smell the wheat and the grains and the yeast and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's just in a. I mean, it's literally in the parking lot of Party City.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Well,
You're
and
just
you know why that is, right?
No.
The people that started New Riff were owners of Party City.
Oh, really?
Or Party Source, not Party City.
Yeah.
Party Source.
Oh yeah, Party Source. My mistake.
Well, I think you might have said Party Source. I think he said Party City.
I may have said Party City. I don't know.
Someone did.
It's the same thing.
But yeah, they were the owners of Party Source, and so they started New Riff, and that's I think why they are in the parking lot of Party Source. Real estate, you know.
You're real estate.
I mean, I would do the same if I was the owner.
So all right,
so we
couple
wanted,
things. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say we wanted to put this together as, you know, a lot of people are looking for gifts this time of year. You know, they're searching for bourbon lovers. You know, it's a common question we get. You know, hey, what's your favorite? What's a good gift?
And it's usually what's under $50. That's what people's like price a lot.
$50 is like, you know, I don't want to spend more than $40-$50.
But I know he likes bourbon. Have you heard of Angel's Envy?
Yeah. So we wanted to pick maybe 4 or 5 things today that you can get pretty much anywhere. I don't think you should have an issue finding any of this.
Maybe one of them. Maybe.
Yeah.
But then also talk about some gifts too that you can get for the bourbon lover who might, especially if they have a big collection already and you don't want to buy them a bourbon that they may already have or don't like or whatever. There's also some gift ideas that we can, you know, that we're going to shout out about. So, real quick, Evan Williams, bottled and bond, 100 proof. I mean, what is it? A $30 bottle? 25?
Yeah, it's got to be like 20, 25.
It is a plastic screw cap, mind you.
Yes. This might be an old bottle.
But I do think it's a very we did it on our budget episode, I believe, budget bottled and bond,
and that might have been like a $20 episode.
Yeah, and I think it's in that range. It's definitely cheap.
Hold on, I'm looking.
You're looking it up.
Yeah.
All right. So what I like about it is it's for the price. It's not super complex, but it's got the sweetness that you want, that vanilla, that caramel punch, and it even noses sweetness. I don't know that I nose anything specific, but I know sweetness, almost like a sugar or like a, but I get a good, you know, sweet palate.
It would be great for mixers too, if you're new to stuff and you're still mixing. And
I think that 100 proof is always good for mixers.
Oh yeah, for like old fashions and.
This is $20.
Yeah.
Under,
okay.
Yeah.
$19.
I mean, you can't beat that for $20.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, it's like a sore penis. Hard to beat.
I mean, I bought an old fashioned that costs $15 for a drink, and you're getting a whole bottle. And this has
a surprising like oakiness to it.
There's a little bit of oak to it, sure, and there should be. I mean, it's at least 4 years old. It's going to sit in the barrel for at least 4 years because it's a bottled and bond, so it should have a little bit of oak influence for sure. Yeah, it's a good start though. Good little primer. So. All right, let's take a step back. We've got 4 more bottles that we're going to talk about that are under $50 or under 60 at least. There's one we're not 100% sure. We'll check it out.
1792 is 34.
What's the Woodford Reserve?
Woodford.
Double oak.
Let me.
So while he's looking that up,
look it up, Jamie.
Brett, what you were talking a little bit earlier about some ideas and some things.
Yeah, so I had a coworker reach out to me, and it was the same thing like Tyler just said. Like, I want to get, it was like a cousin or something, like a bourbon thing. They're like really into bourbon. And I'm seeing more and more of these on the shelves, but they're almost like a gift pack / variety pack. And this one was from Old Forester.
55.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yep.
So this one was from Old Forester, and I had not seen it before, but it was 375 milliliter bottles. It was the 1910, the 1920, and then the 1897, the bottled and bond, which those are the 3 good ones. Out of the
those are the
series.
3 favorites I think for most people.
And I told her to pick that up. I'm like, oh wow, I haven't seen that set before. That's really cool.
Do you remember how much it was?
It was around 50, I thought.
And so I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, any one of the bottles which are $750 in the Whiskey Row series are usually in that $50 range.
Yeah.
So if you're getting 375s for around $50, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
You're getting a bottle and a half basically.
Well, and I told her too about like you can mix the 1910 and the 1920, and that gives you something as well.
Yeah.
But then there was also a rabbit hole one too that had 2 375 ml bottles. And if I remember correctly, it was really neat. They both had like a shape where they kind of like fit into each other, like a concave and a convex type shape. And I was like, that's really cool.
You could set them beside each other and they'd make love.
Yeah. And they were 2 375 bottles too. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. So I think those are good gifts for people. And
those types of little gift sets and stuff like that, that's always good. The only issue you run into with bourbon, and this is my only concern about when inevitably every Christmas someone asks me, hey, my father-in-law likes whatever, or my brother-in-law likes whatever, and what kind of bourbon should I buy them? I'm just like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Right.
What do they like? I mean,
right.
That's such a tough question because, I love Old Forester, but not everyone likes Old Forester. A lot of people hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then same thing with, just other things out there. Buffalo Trace, you get all these people that are like, oh my gosh, Buffalo Trace is great. But then other people are like, no, Buffalo Trace is like crap. And, when you go on the tour of Buffalo Trace, they say you can drink it neat, but it's technically made to be a mixer.
Yeah.
The Eagle Rares and all those things, it's so polarizing. Yeah. And that's the only problem when someone just asks you who you don't know who the person they're talking about is.
And you never want to recommend something that it's going to be hard for them to get. You want to say, hey, you can go pick this up at your Kroger, probably without any issue. And
that, to be honest, if they force me to talk about a bourbon, I almost always say Old Forester or Signature 100.
Same.
Because I'm like, listen, if they don't like neat, it goes great with a cube. It goes great in a cocktail.
Yeah.
It stands up on its own. It's $22, and it's good. Most people will like it.
I almost grabbed a bottle for tonight, and I was like, well, I'm already bringing the bottled and bond, and I didn't want another like super low end low price.
No, but I mean but you're right. Evan Williams bottled and bond. I don't think any person who's truly into bourbon is going to be upset if you give them a bottle of Evan Williams bottle.
One of the things that I like about the grouping that we have here is we have something that's a little bit more like a lower proof with the Elijah Craig. We have something a little bit more higher proof with the Maker's Cask. We also have a very cheap bottle in our range at $20.
Which is still 100 proof. I mean,
yes,
it's still
at 100 proof.
And then 1792 small batch is what, 92 point something or something weird like that.
So then we also have a bottle that is
93.7.
It's got a finish to it. And it's on the higher price range of our list at 55.
Have you ever talked to someone who's had Woodford Reserve Double Oaked and didn't like it?
No.
I mean,
everyone loves it.
And the people that don't like it generally just are like, well, it's too sweet for me to have as a daily. Yeah. But they'll have it at the end of an evening, or at the end of a meal or something like that. So they still generally like it, but only on certain occasions.
So the biggest pet peeve I have with them is I feel like I've had some inconsistent barrel picks of theirs.
Well, barrel pick, sure, but that's kind of what a barrel pick's all about, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes you get a brand that is a little bit more consistent, and I think theirs is a little bit more all over the place.
Even the regular, just shelf or double oaked, I feel like I've had some variety in the flavor. And maybe it was me, maybe it was something that...
Well, palate. I mean, honestly, palate comes into play. Like, if you've ever had garlic on a night and you go to a bourbon that you consider a daily,
you're fucked.
That drink that night is not going to taste like it's ever drank before. I mean, garlic will destroy your palate when it comes to bourbon. Mm-hmm. Like, I love garlic. I love me some Italian food. I love garlic, but like, don't drink. I generally don't drink bourbon on a night that I've had Italian food that has garlic in it.
Yeah,
I just won't do it unless it's like a mixed drink or something like that.
Sure.
But I guess we're kind of jumping ship here. We've already gone through and named every one of these bourbons, but we'll go through and taste them anyway.
So the next, and I was going to recommend we do this one next, the Elijah Craig.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
That's one that I recommend people to a lot, especially because the age statement on it, right? It's like 6 to 7 years, if I remember correctly, on those.
I believe so. And I think it might even be a little bit of a wider range than that, possibly.
It's proofed a little bit lower.
It is.
The mid-90s, right? Low to mid-90s?
Yeah, it's 94. 94.
Yeah.
It's a relatively cheap bottle. It's probably 25, 30, something like that.
Yeah, it's right in that range.
And I think it's really, really good. I think it's an overlooked one.
Oh, it's definitely
every time
overlooked.
we have so many private barrels. Their cask strengths.
I take it for granted because it's so easy to find.
Yeah, and then you have a sip and you're like, fuck, this is good. It's one of my favorites to drink when I'm at a bar with overpriced bourbon.
Yeah.
Then this is sitting there for $7 and you're like, okay, I'll have this.
So there's flagships, right? Every distillery has a flagship. This is the Heaven Hill flagship, in my opinion. This is their, and then they have a weeded Larceny, which is, I guess, their weeded flagship. But I would say, from a flagship perspective for Heaven Hill, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that this is one of my favorite flagship bourbons.
Correct.
Buffalo Trace obviously is the flagship for Buffalo Trace. You've got Old Forester. I would say their 86 is probably their flagship, but their 100 is better, in my opinion.
Correct.
I mean, what else? What other distilleries out there have the flagships?
I mean, just a single barrel, Four Roses. But
well, Four Roses has their small batch, or if you want to call it their yellow label, is probably their flagship.
But
it's actually good. Remember,
No,
we did
no,
that
I
episode?
don't-
But no one thinks of that when they're
it says like their
you should go buy
flagship.
them a
Yeah.
No,
You know
you're
what,
right.
I thought about bringing Four Roses
Small batch select.
small batch select, but I think that's 65.
It's like 60
so
or
it'd be
69 or
pushing the
something.
limit. Yeah.
I still think the single barrel shelfer is better than the small batch select.
You think that, but I think you're in the minority. I think a lot of people really enjoy the small batch select.
If you want to, if you are not necessarily a bourbon,
God, what do you get on the nose with this, Elijah Craig?
I was trying to look up the age.
So, like, we just went from Evan Williams, which is 100 proof, down to 94 proof, and this one is already richer on the nose.
oh yeah,
And nothing against Evan Williams. I mean, like,
it's a $20 bottle.
and it's the same company.
true.
Yeah.
You know, that's the funny thing. But this is just $10 more, and like I'm already
just
getting
10
so much
more.
more. It's just 10 more, but it goes to 11.
This says 8 to 12 years.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When you said 6 to 7, I
guess
didn't think that
it
was right.
8 to 12. That's crazy. 8 to 12
So
years.
you're getting an 8 to 12, and when a lot of people say $10 per year,
Right.
a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of exceptions to that. But when you think that as a
That's
value
more,
for
of a
bourbon,
value.
you're looking at $80 to $120. This is, I know it's batched and everything, but like still,
That's a deal.
That's a good deal. I mean,
Absolutely.
now granted, when you have a lot of the flagship bourbons, they're generally in that at least 6-year range. So like Buffalo Trace is like $20 some, and
What's
things like
the
that.
age on
But
that on Buffalo Trace?
it's like 6 to 8. That's what it's supposed to be.
And I would have brought a Buffalo Trace, but you can't really find it.
Yeah,
It's not that it's expensive
in
or
Ohio
goes
you
fast.
can get it, but
but it's not like sitting on the shelf.
do you get any
It's
cherry?
fucking great.
A little bit of cherry.
Yeah, I got like a caramel and a cherry, and I
Yeah.
just took a sip.
Dude, it's like a dark.
It's almost like a
dark
cherry
chocolate
Werther's
cherry.
or
Yeah,
something.
dark chocolate cherry.
Yeah.
Oh, dark chocolate. That's good.
The taste on this, though, I get a lot of oak on this. I don't
do.
know if it's because the other was a
I
lot
do too.
younger, but man, like it was like, wow, there's a lot more oak than I remember.
But there's a lot going on in this. This
Mm-hmm.
is definitely a lot more complex.
for a small
for
batch.
for a flagship bourbon
Yeah.
just sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
No, this is good. So,
This even says
Brett,
Oh,
you
first to Charles
talked
barrels.
about bourbon, like a gift set like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about like the gift sets, like of a standard brand, like a flagship, like a Maker's that comes with a mule cup, or like Woodford does their release that comes with like the mule cup, or maybe it's maybe it's not a mule cup. Maybe they do a what is it called? What's the
Like a rocks
mint
glass?
julep, like a mint julep cup.
like an up glass or whatever they call that.
So like there's but just in general, there's some of those gift sets that come out around Christmas time that have like the built-in rocks glasses, or have the mint julep cup, or they have the
Old fashioned
mule
kits
cup.
are popular too right
That's-
now.
yeah.
Like it's the same thing where it's like an old fashioned kit that comes with a bottle and like that big like twisty spoon to stir. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it has a name that I don't know.
I think the official name's a big twisty spoon.
Oh yeah, perfect. That's what I thought. Big twisty spoon. For some reason, they're always like spiraled. But yeah, I think those kits are really cool.
What do you think about those, Tyler?
I really like them.
And I think
Spoken like a true poet.
true color guy there, true color there.
I think they're cool.
No, I think it depends, but for the most part, like I always feel like I can never have enough rocks glasses, even though I've got a shit ton of them. But like
Sure.
I like rocks.
in my
glasses.
head, I'm going to have people over and I'm going to have mixed drinks. It never happens, but that's what I'm.
Yeah.
Inevitably, when they all come and they see my collection, they just want to drink neat, which I'm happy about.
Sure.
But like in my head, like I think about okay, and it's the douchiest part of the movie, but neat, right? Which is only available on Tubi now. If you're trying to watch that,
I'd
you
say
can't
it's not
find
on
it.
Hulu anymore.
No, it's not on Hulu, but it's on Tubi, which is free. So you
didn't
just
know
have to
that.
deal with a couple of commercials here and there. But yeah, so I've been watching it again before our trip. But the douchiest part of the movie is that guy that lives in Nashville that built the speakeasy in his basement and has that. He
hires that guy to come in.
Yeah, which is cool, but he is just a douche. You know, he goes into the store to buy, and he's, you guys got anything in the back? You know, like
right. It's very staged.
Granted, it was 2016. And so, like, you could probably do that with your relationships. And in those secondary stores or states, you can probably still do that if you have a relationship. But, like, it just, you know, he's talking and I don't know. I just want to smack him every time.
Up like a Four Roses LE or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he picked up a Four Roses limited edition. You're right. Yeah. But it was the Brent Elliott one that was, like, pretty popular at the time. But I don't know. There's something about the guy. I just want to smack him. And if they could remake Neat without that guy in it, it'd be a much better movie. He's the only part of that movie more
Jackie, less him.
I even enjoy the Steve Zahn parts, like you know, with him being a goofball. He's just funny. A goof, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't like that guy. He's kind of. For one, he doesn't like dogs at the beginning. That's the first thing you find out about him. And I was like, okay, I'm done with you.
Yeah. It seems forced, too. That whole interaction seems kind of forced.
Well, I think a lot of it is staged. Even that interaction with Jackie going to where she's not even drinking Old Forester. She's drinking like Makers, Private Select and stuff. I think all of those types of interactions seem forced to some degree. But, I mean, that's how it is in a movie like that. You go to a bartender, you have them, you know, stage their drink that they like to make, or you talk to a distiller and you take them out into the world instead of just talking to them in an interview fashion, which is what they did with Jackie, and I think that just makes it a little bit more forced. But you know, that I just love that movie. Like, I probably watch it 3 times a year, if not more.
It's cool to see like Eddie Russell, right, and see Freddie and
all the people. You see Elliot. You see even who's the Makers. You see the Makers guys. You see who's the old guy that retired and was Four Roses before Elliot. I think he's in it. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. God, Jason would be smacking me right now for not remembering this. But anyway, those guys. I mean, it's cool to see all those people. And you know what I've started? Good. Yeah, it is. It's just Elijah Craig.
Yeah,
and it's good.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered, I know I'm derailing, but their toasted barrel, if you could make your own toasted barrel, like they sell those little wooden barrels, right? Like you got one for Christmas one year. You guys both got one for Christmas.
Yeah, dude has one of mine.
I have yours, yeah.
Do like a light char in it and just like pour your bottle in there and leave it for like a week or two and then just sample it and be like, see if it like becomes like a toasted barrel.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with those small barrels is it's just...
They age so quickly.
And
that's why I said, I mean, maybe a week's too long even. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They give you a chart on those things of what the equivalency is to like a regular size barrel.
That's a great segue into, I think what we would agree is not a great gift.
The little barrel?
Yes.
Well, I don't know that we would agree. You just never did shit with yours.
Correct.
Did you?
I haven't yet because it wasn't my gift, and I'm just like, all right. But I'm going to. I'm going to do it soon. I was
with a white dog.
It's a free barrel.
I know. I wasn't going to do the white dog. I was going to do like a toasting project or something like that.
Yeah.
Take something that and like make it almost like double oaked because it's not toasted. It's actually charred.
Right. So you can't.
So it would almost be like a double oaked. What it would have to end up being. And then you'd have to just...
Triple oaked. Put that Woodford in there.
Put the Woodford in there. But I mean, double oaked is technically... That's the first toasted barrel out there. That's toasted.
That's before the Michter's toasted barrel?
That is supposedly their claim. They claim that they are the first toasted...
I didn't realize their second one was a toasted...
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's marshmallow. That makes 100% sense.
Yeah. But that's why when you see a double oak, like Peerless double oaked, you're thinking it's going to be something like that, but it's actually super spicy, and it's because it's actually truly 2 oaked barrels, charred, not toasted and charred. All right, so back to gifts, Tyler. What's outside of bourbons and gift sets and stuff like that? What's a good gift you think for just the bourbon lover, or someone even just getting into bourbon?
Getting into it. So I think Etsy has a lot of really
cool
gifts.
Everything from like barrel heads.
barrel heads.
That's where I got all my barrel heads from Etsy.
Different type of Blanton's horse top collection.
Art from
display
from
art.
bourbon glasses and bourbon bottles or whatever.
I know Jeff made them, but I think they're also on there in a couple different ways. You can do like a Blanton's bottle cut in half that is a cigar holder.
And it's an ashtray too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like an ashtray. And it works out perfcitronelle the way that it's round,
Shaped
and then your
at the
cigar
bottom,
can sit right in there. But I've also seen and done citronelle candles with Blanton bottles, but you can do them with any of them.
Well, and Blanton's bottles are just perfectly shaped for something artistic and kind of neat looking, but still recognizable as a bourbon type thing.
Exactly. Little lanterns, things like that. But art.
I've seen the lanterns. That's kind of neat.
Art and just different things that go along with drinking bourbon.
I like the monogram rocks glasses.
Yeah.
I think those are
There's
cool.
a couple of good places. There's the Wet Bar place that lets you do that kind of stuff. That's purely what they do for the most part is monograms. So they'll do like your 3 initials and stuff. Mm-hmm. Trina loves, like every year she gets me something, it feels like, from Wet Bar. Home Wet Bar is the name of the company. So like I think it's just homewetbar.com. But they do decanters, they do glasses that have monograms. They have
you touched on it for a second about having enough glassware for people that come over.
Yeah. I never did finish that story.
Yeah. You went on a dude.
I went on a segue about that douchebag.
So anyway, around that, in my opinion, you can never have too many, glasses. And if you're truly a neat drinker, you like a clean glass, one that hasn't been washed or one that hasn't been drinking out of if you're going from one bourbon to the next. So it's nice to have more than one nice rocks glass, or you can have a couple of different Kenji drams if you're having a flight that night or blinds. Honestly, if you know someone that collects quite a bit, those little 2 ounce or 1 ounce vials are
that's
really
a good idea.
good
I didn't even
gifts
think about that.
Because when people are passing samples back and forth, like you misplace them, you never get them back.
Oh, I never get mine back.
Yeah,
I think you're about the only person who's ever returned those vials to me, but you still probably have 30 of those.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And they're just a really good gift that you're like, I didn't really. It's something you need. And
because your friends inevitably want to have a sample of something that you have, or you want to get a sample from them. So it is. I didn't even think about vials, but that's a great. Amazon has a ton of those, 2 ounce and 4 ounce vials, and those are great. You know how many times I've used those? Not to mention just for our 12 days of Christmas thing that we used to do. But also, I've just got a shit ton of them sitting under my bar.
It's another one for moving your bottles when you're moving home.
Yeah.
Are those blow up?
Those blow up containers.
Yep.
That those are they're I think they're called wine bottle shippers or something like that. Shipping containers.
Those are a really nice one.
Those are, and they usually come with an air pump and stuff. Yeah. But that's not the other reason to have those is not just when you're moving, but if you're traveling, and you buy a bourbon and you want to ship it to yourself, that's a good way to not or pack it in your carry-on, or not your carry-on, but your luggage. If you want to actually check a luggage, that's a great way to pack it so that they don't bust on the way home.
Sure.
But I also still recommend taping the top of them if it's not like a wax top or something, just to keep the cork from popping off in the plane. But
before we get into any more suggestions, let's crack the next.
Well, we do. I think small batch next, right?
I was thinking 1792 as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
pop into that, Tyler. You're the only one done with your drink.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
I still have a little bit left in mine. Yeah, I was savoring the.
The Elijah Craig's good, man.
It's very good.
And it's funny because, here's the I don't know if you want to call it irony or just stupidity or ludicrousness or whatever the word is.
Luda.
Cruise. But
it's ludicrous speed.
But
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
All these people going after all of these crazy bourbons when you can buy Elijah Craig and let's just say that's in your wheelhouse. It may not be. You may not like Elijah Craig, but if you do, and then you're going out there chasing these bottles for $300, $400, $500, is it really that much better than Elijah Craig?
Well, I think
that you can justify spending $3 to $5, and maybe once in a while. I
think some of it is people aren't drinking those bottles.
Yeah,
and some of it's like for show.
Yeah, I think the more that we accept that, the
no, I
easier the
get that.
conversation.
I accept
drinking them.
I accept that there are people collecting in hopes that the value goes up.
Probably 70%.
And I'd say 30%. And I'd say another 30% are flipping. They're taking a bottle and they're buying it for $300 and they're going to sell it for $500. Or they're going to buy it at MSRP, like most of Buffalo Trace stuff that's under $100, and then turn around and sell it for $300. I think that's a big thing, and I think some people have actually made a business out of it to the point where they're actually making serious money.
I'm sure.
And I don't know how do they explain that in their taxes?
Yeah.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering because I'm sure they're using Venmo and PayPal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So how do they explain that stuff?
I made $30,000.
Right. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, if they ever got audited, like, okay, wait a second here. What is going on?
Right.
Why do you have $30,000 in transactions on PayPal or Venmo or whatever, Cash App? I just don't know how they get away with that stuff. Because electronic, you would think there's a flag that immediately pops up in the software that says, this guy needs to be checked out.
Yeah.
But anyway.
They're Amish.
I digress.
They're exempt from taxes.
Yeah, could be. Maybe they are Amish.
To all our Amish listeners out there.
To all of our Amish bourbon flippers, good on you. No, it just makes me wonder, like, do people who truly enjoy bourbon, when they sit down with a $500 bottle and an Elijah Craig $30 bottle, do they truly recognize enough? Like, I'm not going to say that the $500 bottle isn't better because, for example, that Generations Wild Turkey that we had, it was really good, but it wasn't worth $500. There's no way in hell I'm paying $500 for that.
And that's kind of what we kind of said, I felt like, on the show,
we
too.
We did. I would have maybe paid $200, at Master's Keep type prices.
But I would rather have 5, $100, Russell's Reserve picks.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean? Versus that one. So
yeah, no doubt. And Russell's Reserve picks aren't $100.
No,
they're closer to $80. That's the other thing. It's like they're not $100. So you could have 6, Russell's Reserve picks for the price of that Generations, and probably have of those 6, 3 of them be better than the Generations.
Correct.
You could buy 5 and take your girlfriend out to dinner. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's true. Or your wife. Either one.
Or both. You took your wife and your girlfriend.
Together. Let them meet for the first time. What do you get on the nose for this?
There's something fruity in there for me. Do you get that?
Yeah, it's definitely like a tart.
Yeah.
Like a light fruit, like a green fruit.
Like a sour grape?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's like an apple. It's an apple.
Like a Granny Smith
apple. It's like
apple,
a Granny Smith apple is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
It's like there is something.
Oh, Granny Smith apple all day long. Holy cow! You know what? 1792 is an unsung hero in the bourbon world. I really enjoy 1792. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's so good.
I've got that foolproof at home, and I've had it for a while. It's hard to drink, man.
It's a higher rye. It's a high rye.
Maybe that's why they don't like it. There's people that don't like the high ryes.
I like high, but the
you don't like ryes, but you like high rye bourbons.
I love high rye bourbons.
Yeah, that's
but a high rye bourbon's like 20%.
Yeah.
That's not over 50% rye.
Yeah, correct.
Because what's Angel's Envy rye? 85-15, right?
It adds the perfect
something
amount
or
of
85,
spice.
95.5. Oh, you're right. It's 95.5. So you're talking about going 70% more rye. And there's a huge difference there.
Correct.
Because corn is still the major influence in a high rye bourbon.
Right.
So you're right. I'm not a rye guy in most cases. And the exception to that, I think, is the low entry proof ryes like Michter's and stuff like that. I really enjoy those.
Sure.
But yeah, you're right. A high rye bourbon I love. Yeah. I didn't used to at all. I loved the wheated bourbons.
Yeah.
And now, I really kind of enjoy that little bit of spice on those bourbons.
That's why I like the Russells so much.
Yeah.
Is the rye in it.
Yeah.
I don't love this.
Did you taste it yet?
I did.
Yeah. Well,
To me,
you're allowed to not. And 1792, I will say, is more of a polarizing bourbon. There's a lot of people that don't like 1792.
I think coming after the Elijah Craig,
Yeah.
it's the Elijah Craig is more complex. It's more robust with flavor. I'm trying not to use that word as much because I've been using it lately.
It's all right. No one's gonna. No
I
one's
will
keeping
agree
track.
that I would take.
I don't know, man.
Really?
It's got a good finish.
It's got a great finish. I think I would take the Elijah Craig though.
That's how I felt.
I think, well, price wise alone, I would take the Elijah Craig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it finishes flat for me.
It's not flat to me, and it's. I will say the Elijah Craig has a little bit higher viscosity.
Yeah.
This is thinner.
And that might be what it is for me.
It's not. I don't think it's necessarily the finish. I think it's the viscosity that falls off. Like it,
Yes.
dries up.
Well,
quick.
and I think when you don't have viscosity, the flavor doesn't stick with you as long.
Yeah.
Because it's not just it's not viscous in your mouth, so that thinness, it just dissolves quicker. The flavor dissolves quicker. I think that's just standard how it's going to be on a non-viscous drink. It's it's gone. But I do think, and it might even just be the rye or even the alcohol content, but I get a pretty good burst of flavor on the back half of the tongue. Not on the finish necessarily, because you're right. I think the finish maybe doesn't stay long.
Yeah, it doesn't last.
But it's it comes in a little flat, gets to the back of the tongue, really bursts, and then the finish is a little flat. But I get that burst. I'm actually enjoying on the back of the tongue. And you're right though. That Granny Smith apple is now that I've had a drink, it's not as strong on the nose, but it's still there. It's still present. And I think that's the first thing I taste on the tongue, and then that explosion of flavor happens, and then but it does. You're right. I'm going to go with you on this, Elijah Craig. I'm going to like that a little bit more. I think because the finish falls flat.
For me right now, out of what we've had, if you do price, by flavor taste, the Elijah Craig is winning.
Yeah, for sure.
Easily.
I think I agree with that.
Do you want to do?
I know it's tough to do next. I don't know. I could go either way.
I think
it's
because the Woodford is finished, we do it last.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we do Maker's Cask because and plus Maker's Cask is 10 something. It's it's not even. It's 108. Well, it's different every
is
batch.
it? I didn't realize it.
Every batch is different.
I thought they proofed it to a.
They do not.
That's
not
good.
with Maker's Cask. It's each batch is a little different. They proof it to a flavor instead of proofing everything to a proof.
Okay, because I know it's a batched product, so I was how are they doing that?
Yeah, they proof it to the flavor profile.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll see.
You guys have any Christmas plans or anything you're doing?
I'm still unemployed, so I have no
valid.
plans.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
No. We have our.
You're building a home.
Trip. Yep.
So you're probably not doing shit. Should I say that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I will
I didn't
say
know if Jillian knew or not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
we generally host Christmas, and whoever in our family comes. If they don't, whatever. So we generally I'll smoke a turkey breast outside, sometimes two.
You're a turkey guy on.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you guys do ham?
No, we used to.
Used to do ham.
Correct.
Okay.
And I want to say it's my.
We do both, by the way. We do turkey and ham.
So maybe it was turkey that my mom wasn't fond of, and liked ham. We did that for a long time, and then it switched over to prime rib. We've probably done
the traditional.
Yeah, and
Is
prime
it
rib.
though?
For Christmas, I feel like
Yeah,
I thought
it
ham
is.
was the traditional.
It's
Maybe
typically both.
Yeah.
It's typically
Okay.
both.
Fair enough.
Ham is probably traditional.
Carfagnas will do prime ribs they sell that
Dude,
are high fucking end.
So Carfagnas will do them too, but any size you want. They're I went in there. I'm like, oh, what sizes do you have? And they're like, what size do you want? Bone in or bone out? And I'm like,
Always bone in.
or wrapped. I like cut and wrapped.
Unwrapped bone in. Oh, that's me.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to wink, Brett. I think everyone on the podcast understood what you were going with.
It was
there.
at Tyler. I just wanted to let him know.
Yeah. But yeah, they'll do those. It's fantastic. They have some. I went to Carfagnas the other day. Fuck. I love that place. I fucking
You're talking
love
more
it.
about their butcher, right?
Their butchery, but like even their
Butchery?
other their
Just their butcher, right?
Their butcher, yeah. But even their pre-made meals, like their pre-made stuff, like I got a Tupperware of their meatballs the other day. Fuck, were they good? And I made
So
a
their
sub.
Italian market has that kind of stuff in it?
Oh yeah, they have all of their pre-made stuff. They have pastas. They have chicken cutlets. Like you can go get meals there, like full meals.
I know the Giant Eagle at Britton Parkway is now selling like their pasta sauce,
Yes.
like jarred.
Well, yeah, they have
jar-
for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but
And their al vodka sauce is ridiculous.
they have a ton of stuff in there. They make pizzas. They have a whole like dessert bakery, but then they also have like their packaged more Italian cookies, I guess you would say, and then a whole freezer section of pastas as well. It's unreal.
I don't think
fucking
I've
love
ever
that.
shopped in their Italian market. I've only gone to the restaurant and the liquor store.
Oh, we have to go just one of these days in the next couple of weeks. We'll just go up and we'll look at it. Just you got some time. We'll go up and
I've got time.
we'll go up and look at it.
So for me, I will say I'm going to give it a little bit of a background. Like we always did the same thing for Thanksgiving as we did for Christmas.
Yeah.
For dinner, growing up. That was just always in my
Same growing up.
yeah. So then I got with Trina, and Trina, her family did the same thing, but they also did ham for Christmas. So for Christmas they would do turkey and ham.
Okay.
But everything else would be the same. So minus 1 year, Trina and I decided to do an Italian Christmas, and we did like manicotti. It was a homemade stuffed manicotti that we did, and so good. Like that was a good year. And more recently, when we do our Christmas, I'll use it as an excuse to smoke a turkey breast. And I'll inject it, do all this stuff, brine it basically, and holy cow! In the last year or two, when we brine a turkey breast, it's been so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah. How
So
long do you? Jeff and I talked about this the other day at length. How long do you brine for?
Overnight.
Okay.
I'll just do it overnight.
Yeah.
So I do it the night before, then I get up the next morning, and I'll time it based on the weights and stuff like that.
Typically an hour a pound.
It's something like that. I can't remember.
For the brine?
Yeah. Is what's recommended. An hour per pound.
Cooking, you mean?
No,
No,
brining.
brining.
Oh, how long it
Yeah.
sits?
Do you put it in a
yeah.
big container to brine? Do you have like a big...
I do.
Yeah, like
yeah.
you typically
Like
will put them in a cooler or
Oh,
like
a cooler's a good idea.
A cooler or like like if you have one of those large pots, or one that you would
Oh,
use
yeah, like
for
a Dutch oven
frying.
almost. Like,
Yeah.
I have a pretty big Dutch oven.
Yeah, but it should be.
I gave
submerged.
Trina a Dutch oven last night.
I figured someone was going to say something.
So the other side of my family always the in-laws they always do crab legs.
That's a very traditional Christmas thing, too, I feel.
And
That,
I
it's common.
I
think it's
don't like it.
you don't like crab legs, or you don't like it
I-
for Christmas.
Both for me.
You don't like crab legs.
No, they're... Crab...
So much work for so little meat.
Correct.
That part one. Part two...
That was Trina's dating experience with me.
Yeah.
Crabs... So it's funny, like... Humans are like, insects, ooh, I would never eat that, you're disgusting. Ocean insects, that's delicacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Crabs are
But
literally
it- but
insects of the ocean.
Yeah.
The delicious insects of the ocean.
But like, if you were to eat like a cricket, like people would think you're the nastiest fucking human
But
on
it's not
Earth.
fucking from the ocean. It's so different.
It's like
A cricket has no meat.
water insect versus like
Listen,
land
Literally
insect.
just like
It's not even close to being the same.
exoskeleton fucking shell.
It's not even close to being the same. There's actual meat
I know.
in shrimp.
But, so-
there's actual meat in crab.
If we did
Lobster, all that
if
stuff.
we did Alaskan king crab where you had like a couple of pieces that were just massive, I would love that. But it's just we do like they'll go to like Sam's Club and just get like the box of them
Snow
and there's
crab
like,
type
and you just
stuff,
like
or-
snap. Oh, there's little
those king
fucking-
crabs. They're like as big as your fucking table almost.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean you pull like the king crabs, you pull them out and they're like literally a piece like this long. Like
Have you ever had Maryland crab,
like the blue
where it's
shell?
the actual middle of the crab that you're eating?
Yes, I have.
That is so good.
It
And then
is.
they like put all the like seasoning on the outside of it.
Correct.
And so as you're supposed to use your
They're
hands
soft
and crack it open. And so as you get into it and stuff like that, you're getting it on your hands.
That's
and
like
then
Louisiana shit too. Those, like,
and then as you
boil
get it
pots.
in your hands on the meat, you're transferring that seasoning to the meat, and then you eat it. Have you guys ever do like boils? Like
I've never done my own boil.
I haven't done a boil yet.
There's a seafood boil place. I'm afraid to go to it, but it's on Bethel.
No, it's supposed to be great.
The place on Bethel.
Yeah, Baltic loves that place.
I'm just afraid to go to a seafood boil place in Ohio.
It's great.
All the ones I've ever gone to, it's screw top.
Screw top. I thought it was a cork.
No, not the maker's cask. It's screw top all day long. No, so I've always been afraid to go to a seafood boil in Ohio.
That's valid.
We're not in anywhere close to an ocean.
We're very landlocked.
So like the ones I've ever gone to have been in Texas and Louisiana, and then also I did one in North Carolina. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I love seafood boils. Love them.
Oh, so overall Christmas, I do love ham. It's fucking fantastic. But I will say, prime rib has been my favorite.
Prime rib.
I love I love what I do with it.
There's no other way to do prime rib but medium rare, right? Like that's just not a thing other than medium rare, right?
Are any of these clean?
No,
I think he's in the middle. He's in the middle.
Yeah.
I've got two more over here too.
Well, I thought I had an extra one, but I don't know what the fuck happened to it. So
it's probably that.
Bend over and I'll show you.
So I will say, I think you're right, but I believe that if you do a low and slow and you get to that temperature, I think you can really break down prime rib quite a bit. But when you, in my opinion, when it comes to actually rib eyes, they're so fatty, they have to get to medium before the fat is appropriately broken down. I don't like rib eyes at medium rare.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like the fillets I had, but typically when you're doing a prime rib, it is a lower and slower cook, so it breaks down and you can have it
at medium rare.
Right. Yeah. And one of the best things that my buddy taught me about.
Did you ever get the prime rib at the barn?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh God, it's so good there.
One of the things that my buddy taught me about that I absolutely love finishing it is I'll typically either do it in the oven or on the smoker. I don't love prime rib smoked with flavor. It didn't turn out amazing. But I love it slow in the oven. I pull it out and I'll let it rest for maybe 30, 45 minutes. Probably like 30. While I'm letting it rest, I get the oven to like 550, 575.
I heard you let it get real
fucking
hot.
Ripping hot. But you don't wait till it gets ripping hot and then just put it right in. You let it sit kind of ripping hot for maybe 5 minutes, and then you toss the prime rib in there, and it basically convection sears the outside, and it's only in there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it comes out just like a fucking amazing brown. And then you don't even have to let it rest. You just cut into it and go because it rested for
beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that sounds everything you say sounds right.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe everything you're saying right now.
It's fucking great.
That sounds good.
It's great.
So some of my favorite Christmases have been the turkey since I've started brining turkey and smoking it. Holy cow. And the reason I do that for Christmas is my mom makes a turkey for Thanksgiving, and it's just always dry. But she makes this homemade cranberry sauce that is just ridiculous. So I'll just dump that on top of the turkey, and it just kind of negates the dryness
of the turkey. It's all about the brine and you know what I mean, for a turkey. It really is, because it's easy to dry out. That's why it's hard to do them on a smoker.
Well, she cooks it overnight in an oven at like 250 or something weird like that. So it dries out. So it just dries out overnight, and I'm just like, but she stuffs it with stuffing, so then the stuffing comes out amazing.
Yeah.
But the turkey comes out dry.
But does she brine it though?
And she does not.
That's
I know.
95% of it.
I know.
Yeah, because the salt really.
But that's how I grew up, was with that dry turkey, and then we juice it back up with some cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
And it is
gravy.
The cranberry sauce is so good. And she actually makes the gravy from the turkey.
So do you put do you guys like sausage in your stuffing or your dressing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do not like oysters.
Okay.
No, not oysters.
My
Sausage.
uncle always liked oysters.
So my mom
Like
actually
sage
uses
sausage.
stovetop, but
Yeah.
she makes her own type of thing from it. Trina makes a dressing, not a stuffing, but a dressing that is just freaking phenomenal. We let the bread sit out overnight,
Yeah,
and then we come
still
back
out.
and then put the stock on it and stuff like that. Celery, cut it all up fresh, put in I think thyme and I don't know, maybe rose. I don't remember all the different things.
Oregano.
Oregano, and that is my favorite dressing. My
Sure.
mom's stuffing is like moist and like
It's a little more soggy.
it's soggy, moist, yeah, whatever. But it's just so like hearty.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
I will say stuffing it's my favorite side. In my opinion, you can't fuck it up. I can never have too much of it.
Yeah.
And even the shittiest of shitty like stovetop is
Still
amazing to me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll eat the whole fucking box.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah, you're honestly not
You know
wrong.
what? I don't know how they haven't made it yet, but it's probably because there's only like one fat ass like me in the world. So you know how they have like the individual cups of mac and cheese, right?
Yeah.
And the individual cups of mashed potatoes.
Yep. Individual cups of stuffing?
Why don't they have those?
I don't know.
It's
Not a bad idea.
All you have to do is put hot water in there and stir it up, and it flops up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want a
Quick
side
question.
of stuffing here and there.
What time do you guys eat Christmas dinner?
Like typical white people at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Noon, or 1 o'clock.
Okay, so
don't know why.
6 or 7 rolls around. You're hungry again. What do you do?
Eat
Sandwich.
leftovers.
It's always a sandwich.
What's on your sandwich?
Turkey gravy, stuffing. I don't go cranberry. Again, I'm
you don't
not
do
a
a
big
cranberry and
No,
like a Miracle Whip cranberry,
No.
and it's not mayonnaise.
Ooh.
Miracle Whip.
Ooh, like a spread on it. That's not
You
bad
do a
idea.
cranberry Miracle Whip, mix it up, and then make it like a
a sauce on it.
Yeah.
That's
It
fantastic.
sounds like a Thanksgiving thing.
It is,
Yeah.
but we do Thanksgiving for Christmas, so
yeah. It typically is like the same foods in a way.
when you do Thanksgiving and you do turkey, and maybe you do ham or whatever for honestly, if turkey's done correctly, do you like ham or turkey better? Honestly, if turkey's done well, it's been brined and it's juicy and it's
Turkey.
yeah,
Turkey.
If it's
usually
been
like
done
turkey
right,
better.
Well,
turkey
and,
is
and
so
only
much better.
and only because typically the hams that we get are like
Honey baked hams are good.
No, that's what we generally
they're
do
not
is honey
bad,
baked.
but I'm just like I could just give her. I'm just
yeah,
like,
it's the thing
ham.
that, and whenever we have ham here, I almost never
But
eat it.
here is what I
So what
miss.
you got to do is make like a soup afterward. You do like a
ham hock soup.
Yeah, where you do like potato soup with it, or you do like
potato soup. Ooh.
soup beans with ham.
So this is a tradition that haven't had in a long time. My grandma used to live in Miami. She had a fucking awesome house. And
I remember you telling me that.
every year, the reason it was fucking awesome is it was an L, and there was a pool in the L, and every
that's cool.
single room, bathroom and room had a door to outside. So
Yeah.
living room, kitchen, bathrooms, the master bedroom, they all went out to the pool, and it was fucking awesome. But she would have a huge Christmas party every single year, and almost every single year, my family spent Christmas in Florida. But her really good friend Carlos, who is Colombian, he would do a whole hog roast.
God, I love.
Not an in-ground one, but he would build.
Either way.
He would build a basically a pit, and spread the hog out between two wire.
Like on a spit
mesh.
roast, essentially.
Yeah, but it wasn't like turning.
Rotating.
It was just flat, and he would flip it occasionally, and that's it, and dress it throughout the process. But it was like a 12-hour process,
Yeah, those are long.
and it was so fucking good,
Oh, I bet.
so good. So yeah, what are we drinking here now?
This is the Maker's Mark cask strength. This is by far the highest proof that we've had. We are
108.
What is it? 108.7.
What do you get on the nose? It's a little softer.
I was gonna say I don't get a ton on the nose. On the palate, I got a decent amount.
Yeah, same. It's definitely a little softer, and I think everything we get on the palate is actually due to the higher proof. But I definitely get the wheat, like that soft wheatness, on the nose.
I'm a little stuffy right now too.
But I'll say this: it's good. It's really good.
Yeah. I like the nose. It's pretty pungent.
This is good. I agree. I get that vanilla. Is there
There's
an
definitely
almond
vanilla
in there?
Oh, there's definitely some sort of nut.
I get an almond.
I could see almond for sure. It's good. I like it.
I like that.
I don't know why I get almond.
Now, it is.
I think you're right.
It's not
though.
a peanut. It's definitely a nutty flavor, but it's an off one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We've kind of segued a little bit. So, decanters. How do you guys feel about decanters?
I like them.
I don't know. I mean, so as a display piece, I like them. I don't know enough about what it does. I know it helps like oxidation, but like, is it really helping that much, or is it just for display more?
I think it's more for display. And if you get a good decanter, they've got a good seal, so it's not letting much oxidation happen.
Yeah.
I think it's just more for like, so here I have 2 decanters in my room back here. One of them is just Buffalo Trace, and it's my nice.
That's a good.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good thing to have in a decanter.
But it's also one of those things that if I pour it into a buddy's glass, they're going to think, oh, he's giving me the decanter.
Right.
And it's Buffalo Trace, and it's good enough it'll hold up on its own. Mm-hmm. The other one I have, which is the fancier decanter, is my Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Infinity bottle.
Have you sampled that lately?
I haven't sampled it lately, but I have added I'm waiting until we get Jason's Russells. Yeah. When we get Jason's Russells from Mash and Journey, I think there's 2 of them.
2 Russells and a Wild Turkey.
When we get those 2 Russells,
Kentucky Spirit.
Kentucky Spirit. When we get the 2 Russells, I'm going to add those into it, let it sit for about a week, and then I was going to test it out.
Yeah, that would be a fun episode to do, to like test the decanter.
Yeah.
Or the Infinity blend.
How's your Infinity? Have you had it recently?
No, I haven't. So I've killed like 3 bottles. I had some anchors that I killed.
Did you put them into the...
I didn't. No, I kind of forgot about it. As sad as that is. Because I'm just trying to like make some shelf space for the trip. And, I know I'm getting those 3 bottles from Jason.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just trying to make some space. I don't know how the trip's going to be for me, though. Like,
nah, me neither.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to buy. Like...
But it's like that every year. We're always like, we're only going to get this.
It's going to suck. And then you're going to get there and there's going to be like a 4 Roses single barrel. There's going to be a Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. We're going to go to these places. So I'm not going to, I mean, honestly, I'm holding out for, I've got like a threshold. I've got a list of thresholds that I'm going to buy if I see them. If I don't see them, I'm not buying them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
For example, Buffalo Trace. My threshold is E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare.
Yeah. That's probably me.
If I don't see those, I'm not getting them.
If there's a Blanton's...
I'm not getting a Blanton's. I've got enough Blanton's back here.
I have 5 Blanton's right now.
I'm not getting a Blanton's if they have it. Unless someone wants me to buy it.
That's what I mean. I might do it to like gift to someone or like,
hey,
do you want to buy this off of me?
Right. My brother...
for retail, not secondary. I don't give a fuck.
If I found one, I'd get it for my brother because he's
not making a living off of
He doesn't have a bottle. He's wanted a bottle, and I'm like...
So
every time he sees it, it's like $120, and I'm like, oh fuck, don't pay that.
At Wild Turkey, I don't know that I would go the Master's Keep this year.
What is it this year? I don't know.
I think it's the rum one, isn't it?
Yeah,
I won't. I probably won't do that.
It's already come and gone.
Well, yeah, but sometimes they hold some back and they release them sporadically just to have them in the gift shop. But I honestly, I'm trying to convince myself that this year it's not going to be as much about the bottles as it is about cocktails at each place or drinks at each place.
Sure.
So like we go to the Willett Bar and we sit down and I have an Old Forester from 1970.
Sure.
Or a Wild Turkey,
I want a gold label,
right.
Austin Nickel.
I bet you they have that at the Willett Bar.
Yeah.
So those types of things. And so for me, it's going to be hanging out with all you fuckbags, but it's also going to be just the experiences. The experiences we have set up are pretty good. Yeah. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about. Like, we go to Buffalo Trace every year on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we try to hurry up and get through a whole bunch of stuff and then stay in Louisville that night. And I feel like that just kind of messes with, like, there's some things that you could do. Like, there's the Whiskey Thief place in Frankfurt, which you get to go and you get to just taste out of the barrels and stuff.
Is that like Bourbon 30?
You don't, kind of, but not really.
My only thing with that is that's early, and I don't want to get too fucked up thieving out of a bunch of barrels.
I hear what you're saying.
That would be my only
like that
reservation.
to me. That would be a 3 o'clock thing to do, but it's in Frankfurt. So if you're in Frankfurt at 3 o'clock, you can't then make it to Bardstown.
Yeah.
Unless you you go there and then back to Frankfurt and then maybe across the interstate over to Louisville.
I would.
How many first timers are on this trip though?
Just.
I don't know how many
two.
people. Well,
two.
Who's
JD
first timers
JD
with us?
Yeah, JD and Heath.
But they've both been on the Bourbon Trail before. I think.
To an extent.
I just meant how much, because I'm assuming you're kind of leading into, do we want to skip Buffalo Trace?
No, I'm not saying that. I think we go to Buffalo Trace regardless. Because
I think he's saying, do we want it to be first?
No. What I'm saying is future years. This year's already planned out.
Oh yeah.
We have our experiences already done. If we wanted to go to Whiskey Thief, that's an experience we would pay for.
Sure.
We've already paid for our stuff. First day is Jim Beam. That's our one experience the first day. The second day, our two experiences are Bardstown blending experience in Louisville. They have a Bardstown place in Louisville now. And then the second one is the Evan Williams tour and tasting.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping with that we get the Evan Williams 10 year that they just came out with. I'm hoping. So back to thresholds. My thresholds are Eagle Rare and E.H. Taylor at Buffalo Trace. Otherwise, I'm not going to get... I might pick up some knickknacks and stuff for Christmas or whatever. Wild Turkey would be a single barrel Russell's or a single barrel Wild Kentucky Spirit.
I think I would skip on both of those.
I don't think I would because those are two big ones for me.
If it's if it's
Four Roses, I'll never skip on.
Their picks, you know what I mean?
Four Roses, single barrel, I will pick up every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Unless it's
all of mine are almost empty.
Yeah.
So.
Unless it's that minty one I don't like at all.
Well, that's the one.
So
I forget which yeast blend that
E.H. Taylor all fucking day. I'll get Eagle Rare. The two bottles that I have, they're both store picks. So I kind of want a
Shelfer
normal one
Eagle Rare.
just to kind of drink a little bit more daily.
Are we doing Lux Row?
Yeah, first day. First day is the Blitz. First day is Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Four Roses. Then we go to Bardstown.
We blow our load on the first day.
Yeah, just know last year we didn't do Lux Row though.
We didn't.
We didn't have time because we did that Preservation Distillery and we did so much stuff. We hung out at Four Roses longer than we expected. Remember, we sat at the bar.
Blood Oath might be the only thing I would get.
They're not going to have any Blood Oath.
I want it.
It'll be sold
if they have
out.
a 10-year.
I want the 10-year Rebel and the Lux Row
12
double barrel. Those are two that I have sitting on my list. Those are my
thresholds.
thresholds.
I'll buy another Lux 12. That's a
what's
fucking
what's the
pricey
new
bottle.
Lux?
It is, but it's
what's
always
the new
been.
Lux Row one?
That's the
My buddy just picked it up
4 grain maybe,
for it was $80. Yeah, yep.
but it's not 12. It's not 12 years old.
No.
But it's a double barrel. It's the same idea as the 12 year. It's just not 12 years old. But I think it's 4 grain or something like that.
Okay.
But I've heard it's decent.
We're not going to Makers, right?
We're not driving out to Makers
Thank God.
Yeah.
For
It's
your
a fucking drive.
It is, and I love Makers. Huh? I love
I
Makers.
just need the first row and I'll be okay.
Listen, I love Makers, and I love going to their
We'll get
campus.
picked up first, so.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I love that they always have a couple of private selects there to choose from, and they always have some pretty good
Last time
ornaments
they
and
didn't,
stuff.
though.
They had good private selects. They just didn't have the wood finishing series. That's what they didn't have. But they always have private selects that have been picked by some of their the master distiller and some of their employees.
Yeah.
They always have those. And I've actually killed a few private selects lately. I still have a ton.
Yeah.
I don't mind going to Maker's Mark. But you're right. It's so far out of the way.
Yeah.
That I don't know. My problem is we've gotten in the habit of going east to west. Frankfurt first day, going across the state, through Versailles and all that. Versailles, that's right. It's not France. And then Bardstown, and then finishing in Louisville and staying the night there.
Yeah.
That first year that we stayed in Bardstown, and I can't find a good Airbnb in Bardstown for our bigger group now.
No, we did hotel.
Right. But we did the first year, we did the Bardstown Airbnb.
Correct.
And then the next year, you, me, and Jeff did the hotel.
Yeah, which was nice.
Which was fine. And I think Bardstown as a
that
first night
house,
that was so good. But as a first night stay, Bardstown is a good location because then you're not limited to having to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because you could finish doing Frankfurt, Maker's Mark, all that stuff, and then finish in Bardstown, do Bardstown in the morning, and then go to Louisville in that later day on Saturday.
Yeah.
But then you'd have to stay in a new place. So like you said, you don't want to have to pack up twice.
Yeah, right? It is nice. Like last year was nice.
Right, the same place 2 nights in a row. We're going to be in the same place 2 nights in a row this year, too.
Nice.
And it's not going to be the weekend of the Big Ten tournament or the championship. It'll be the week after all that.
Cool.
That was kind of cool, but it was distracting on the podcast.
It was, and I think it increased the drinking.
Oh,
I'm sure.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
You guys want to do this last one?
Yeah. Pour it out.
For your homies.
For my homies.
So
I think
another thing, I think decanters are always a good, and Home Wet Bar has good decanter options that you can have personalized. The other thing that's a good, I think, gift idea, we talked about rocks glasses and stuff like that. There's a couple of good places out there, distillery products. You can buy in bulk from them. They have a more of a personal side where it's like less bulky. You can buy just a few things at a time. I can't remember what the other side of that is, but you can buy Glencairns, Kinsey Drams. You can buy rocks glasses and have them personalized. You can use your logos. You can use. Yep. It doesn't just need to be a monogram. It can actually be, a logo.
It's amazing what they can do with like laser etching.
It's crazy
now.
And you know what's funny? And just real quick before we go, the laser etching is the way to go. Heaven Hill, they don't do laser etching. All of my Heaven Hill Glencairns are completely blank now.
It's like painted frost, right?
Yeah, and they're blank now.
Yeah.
Or they're missing. It's like Hill.
Ill.
Yeah, it's like Hill. Or whatever. But it's just, that irritates me. Yeah. So you can tell the places that go to the nice links of doing the actual etching.
In line with finding stuff online.
In line with finding things online.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Perusing just the distillery retail online shops are amazing. And Buffalo Trace has endless. Like, it is the largest gift center shop.
Yeah, for sure.
With the most amount of
knickknacks,
but also it's also like they have something for every brand. So if you want something for Weller, Stag, Bland's, they have it all. But then it's so big, but then you go on their online store and they have even more fucking shit. Yeah. It's insane.
Like bar mats, little coaster bar mat type things.
Exactly.
Those are the things I like. Plus they also have like some Christmas ornaments and things like that too.
That's if you are a bourbon connoisseur.
Did you guys see the Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've got some of my Christmas ornaments from last year. I got the ones I bought last year on our trip.
I'm putting my tree up soon, so then I'll have an inventory of things I still need as far as distilleries. So, but my point is if you don't know a distillery that this individual might like gifts for, you can't go wrong going to Buffalo Trace websites. If you know the distillery that's their favorite, Four Roses is another awesome one.
Yeah.
Go to a website.
I got that little bell from Four Roses. Yeah. That was a cool ornament.
Yep.
Here's a question for you guys. What do you guys think about bourbon books?
I like them. I don't read.
If they're a reader, then yes. I mean, you got to be a reader.
I don't read.
But there's also like coffee table books.
That's what I mean. So there's also some really good books by like Fred Minnick. There's there's Bourbon Justice by Hera, I think is his last name. I've got a couple of books in there that are really nice. I've got some old fashioned books, and then there's a bourbon cocktail book.
You're a big reader, aren't you? I know you are.
I like to read. Love to read.
Dude, Jillian has been absolutely. She got back into reading. She I would say like with Carter, starting from Carter, she stopped, but like she will fucking smoke through like a 300-page book in a fucking day. Like I'm like, what book are you on? She's like, I've had like 15 this month. I'm like, you're insane.
That's wild.
That's like my mom.
Yeah.
My mom does the same thing. Trina and I try to stick to the 12 books a year plan.
Oh,
that's a good.
So a book a month. That's
Yeah.
what we try to stick to. And generally what will happen is I'll start off really strong in January and I'll finish like 2 or 3 books by like February.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a dry spell. And then when I go on like vacation in like April or May, I'll finish 2 books on vacation and I'll catch back up. And then that'll get me going.
I know, right? It smells great.
And then that'll get me going and I'll start reading again.
Yeah.
And then I'll die off again middle of the year. And then around the holidays, I'll start reading again.
Yeah.
When it's like
I'll finish
this,
another 2 or 3
it's
books.
like shit weather. It's dark at fucking
Yeah.
5:30.
I just engage in too
oh my
much
gosh.
online banter to read, which isn't productive.
You're still
for me.
reading.
It's not
You're reading
productive for
online. You're just
anybody.
not
Yeah.
reading.
It's not
No.
productive for anybody.
But it is.
You're not reading anything productive.
No,
That's the
no, it
thing.
isn't. But I do love it for the different viewpoints.
Sure.
So I'm like, you're like, oh fuck.
I'm not saying you're not getting anything out
Yes.
of it, but it's just you're not. I mean, you might be getting other people's mindsets and viewpoints and things, and like, oh, and it's opening your mind in that way.
Yeah.
But you're not learning anything new.
No.
Other than what other
Well,
people's
someone could bring a fact
Sure,
that is
sure,
probably not
sure.
true, but
probably not true. That's the other thing is, but like a lot of the books I read aren't about learning anyway. So like I'll read a lot of Jack Reacher books. I'll read, every once in a while. You like that, do you, Tyler?
you like that?
And it's really good.
Dude, that's fucking
I get
awesome.
pure campfire marshmallow type
Yes.
nose.
Yep.
It's just nuts.
That bottle for
Did we say what
$55
this is? Woodford Reserve Double Oak, by the way.
Actually, so funny story about this
Good
bottle.
stuff. Oh my gosh, burnt marshmallow.
I had many years ago, I had never had this, and this is what someone got me for my birthday. Because it was a friend that was like, oh.
So the first one you ever had was a gift for your birthday.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. God, are you getting? You know how when you have a marshmallow and you burn the outside of it, and
Right,
so
the
like you
oakiness.
get the burnt like char on the outside of the marshmallow, and then you get the sweetness on the inside. That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting on this.
Yeah.
But go ahead and finish your
No, no,
story
no.
about your
Oh,
gift.
it was just, and I had never had it, and I was like, holy shit, I've been like missing out on this the whole time. And then I think I drank it so much because I bought like bottle after bottle.
I do feel like this is one of those ones that if you drink too much,
it just like
the
kinda-
enjoyment goes away.
It did, and then for some reason I started getting like a weird flavor on it because I think I was drinking it so much, my
Yeah.
palate was changing a little bit. But I haven't had it in.
But you know what
A
part
year,
of
I
it is?
bet you.
It doesn't have much of a finish. It's all on the
All
front
on the
end
front. I agree.
to the middle, and it's all like what you get on the front end and the middle makes up for the fact that it doesn't have a finish, but it really doesn't have a finish.
I agree.
It's all about that initial like explosion of campfire in your mouth.
Tyler?
Oh, I've already agreed with all of it.
Mentally.
Mentally.
But I mean, there's no finish to it, really. Do you get a finish?
No, I get what you're saying. It's all on the front, and there's not much on the back. That makes sense.
It's airy like the other, like 1792.
And you
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah,
know what?
yeah.
I think it finishes good.
But
I
you know
don't
what's
care.
interesting? The finish for me is all in the breath. I breathe marshmallow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know
That's a
what I
good way to
mean?
describe it. Like you're breathing out that marshmallow.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of that, one of the grossest and funniest things the other day, it was me, Heath, and Andy taking Carter for a walk when we did our little Friendsgiving the other day. And Heath was walking behind us, and I burped and blew it out. And Heath was like, "Oh my god, I just ate your burp." Like it was just like breathed in at the same time that like
that's
walked right
gross.
through. And I was like, I wanted to throw up for him,
Dude,
I was like, that's
burps
so
are
fucking
fucking
gross.
nasty, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think
the-
about what they are. It's
The worst burp of all time is the Costco hot dog burp.
I mean, I can't say that I've ever had a
dog?
Costco hot dog burp.
You mean like
So-
buying it at Costco at their little food?
Oh, their hot dogs are amazing, but
Really?
they make you fucking burp. They make you gassy, and it is the nastiest fucking burp of all time.
I can't say that I've ever had one.
Yeah.
I haven't either.
Oh, it's so.
I've heard their
good.
pizzas are good.
You've never of all the
I've
times
never eaten at Costco. No.
It's like
I
$1.50 for a fucking
I know. I've
pizza.
heard it's amazing, like flavor, like value for the food and all that stuff. But I've just never had one.
Yeah,
That's funny. That's hilarious.
So out of these, what do you guys think that you would like most recommend as a gift?
Probably the Elijah Craig, man.
yeah.
I think value for flavor, the Elijah Craig is like a top tier winner.
Yeah.
If you have someone looking to spend a little more, you know what I mean? Don't know their financial status, whatever, who it's for. Maybe it's for someone that's like very close, like a spouse, not just like.
Then you would still say
their
Elijah
buddy.
Craig.
I might lean them towards the double oaked. It's a pretty bottle. It looks nice on the shelf.
Yeah.
But I still think like value for flavor, the Elijah Craig is the top winner.
The Woodford's just a dessert bourbon all day.
It is. It's like I'm not a wine drinker, but like a port wine.
Sure.
It's like a dessert wine. It's kind of like that. You don't drink it every night, but you have it after a meal. You have it, special occasions, whatever.
I think I'm agreeing with all of you in the sense that Elijah Craig, I think of what we did tonight, is probably the most value for flavor. And price spent and all that stuff. Elijah Craig's it's underrated. It's just really good.
Absolutely.
And it's completely underrated. I think for me this is a hodgepodge of different options. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do in this price range.
We couldn't drink everything in the price range. We would be dead.
A lot of things. I mean, we talked about Old Forester Signature 100. Mm-hmm. That's obviously like one of the ones we love, right? So we all love that.
Early Times Bottled and Bond.
But you can't really find that anywhere.
Yeah.
But like, there's just so many out there that I think that you can get into that aren't super pricey, that still have a good flavor. And if you're in Ohio, you can...
Wild Turkey 101.
Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah,
good.
Agree. That's another good one.
That's a good one.
Old Forester, we said it, Old Forester Signature
100. Buffalo Trace, if you can find it. Which is pretty not super crazy hard to do in Ohio if you go in the middle of the day, not at the end of the day. But now that they're doing all the drops on Saturday, it's just insanity. Those are all, I think, pretty good. But there's other stuff out there, too, that's just that people don't look for, that's actually really reasonable and really good tasting. And I don't know. I think you don't have to spend $50 to have a good bourbon. Mm-mm. And I think most bourbon lovers, if you bought them a bottle of Elijah Craig, they're not going to be upset about it. Even if that's not their favorite, they're going to use it in mixed drinks.
Local Middle West Spirits.
Spirits, bottle. Yes, yeah, for sure. And it's a 4-grain bourbon, and it's good. Even their shelfer. We always talk about their barrel picks, but their shelfer is just really good. On the way of like gifts and things like that, I think you can't go wrong with a good glass set monogram. Agreed. No one's going to be upset with that. Even if they don't use them, they'll at least display them.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of like those whiskey stones.
No,
not a big fan of those. I got those. Trina got me those.
And even the ice ball makers, I could. Like I don't drink with ice, therefore I don't really care. And a lot of times, sometimes like the glass ball is too big or the square just doesn't fit
I use them for my old fashions.
Yeah,
but I don't drink them with.
I would
the bourbon.
take those over. Well, typically if I drink with ice, it's a small piece just to cool it down. But that's it.
Do you ever make an old fashioned at home or have pre-made old fashions at home?
I'm not a mixed drink guy.
Never. You don't like an old fashioned?
No, I do, but I would almost 99% of the time rather have, unless they have a specialty cocktail. Like if it's a Manhattan or an old fashioned, I'm probably gonna say pass. But if they have something else around bourbon, then I'll try it.
You like Hyde Park, right?
Yeah, actually.
Have you had the old fashioned there, the smoked old fashioned at Hyde Park?
I don't think so, but I told Jillian I wanted to go to the Upper Arlington Hyde Park for my birthday.
That's the only one there is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I went to the downtown one week.
So the one
and it's decent, but the Hyde Park The Hyde Park in Upper Arlington is the original, and it's easily the best.
Yeah.
I've been to 3 of them, and
And you guys haven't been to Top
No.
in Bexley?
No.
I've heard really good things about that as well. It's a steakhouse.
I haven't been there.
Yeah.
Hyde Park in Upper Arlington, it's the weirdest location. It's kind of it makes no sense that it's there, but it's so good. It is so good.
Yeah.
And they have a smoked old fashioned that is out of this world.
Okay, I'll get it.
Yeah, get
If
it.
Jillian doesn't drop the ball. I could see her being like, fuck, I forgot to schedule or...
Yeah, I hear you. Just why don't you do it yourself? And then if she makes it, she makes it. If not, then you have yours to fall back on.
I know. I could do that.
Yeah.
I could
and
be
don't
like,
tell her that you made it.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to because it usually involves a babysitter.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So
I'll just let her drop the ball.
all right. let's rank all this from a bourbon lover perspective. If you had someone buying you something, do you want them buying you bourbon? I mean, honestly, do you want them buying you bourbon?
Probably not.
Probably
right.
not.
What would you rather them buy you?
Probably some glassware, if I had to guess, or like an old-fashioned kit.
Yeah.
Maybe, but because I have a decent amount of glassware too.
Yeah.
So maybe like an old-fashioned kit or like a sampler kit or something like that.
Yeah.
The knickknacks at the store, I never want to spend the money on them in the moment. So I would love for
like Christmas ornaments and shit like that.
Ornaments
cool.
are a perfect
Yeah.
example. And
Yeah.
they make some awesome ones. I might peruse the Buffalo Trace site tonight or Four Roses just to see what they have.
I might be a little different than all of you guys. I'm a huge nostalgia guy. So for me, if someone was going to buy me something, if they came across like some sort of artwork of like an old 1970s, 1950s, even 1980s advertisement of bourbon
Yeah.
that's framed, I think that's cool as shit.
Yeah, that's cool for like art, like hang on the wall.
Yeah,
and all
like
that.
because I've got like the bourbon room, the bourbon
Yeah.
sitting room, and I love having stuff like that to be able to put on the walls.
Yeah.
It just helps. And I know that what I've done so far is it's all been like pictures that I took in rick houses and stuff like that. But like that kind of stuff I love, like that nostalgia, because there's one of the things about bourbon is just the history, right?
Sure.
Right.
And so I love the history of bourbon, and that encompasses like the old school like advertisements of the woman wearing the dress and the sweater top and the whatever holding a glass of bourbon or the guy sitting
like the doctor like prescribing it as like medicinal and all that.
Yeah,
too.
and like Mad Men even.
Yeah.
Like the Mad Men era of like holding that glass with the rocks in it and some bourbon, versus scotch or whatever, but like that kind of era. I love that type of stuff as a decoration. Yeah. I think it's so cool. All right, guys. So let us know what you think. I think this is a pretty good, summary of some things you could buy some as gifts for people. You don't have to buy the crazy expensive bourbons. There's some really good cheap bourbons out there. And then also from the bourbon world, there's a lot of stuff in the way of books, glassware, kits, as you mentioned, gift sets, things like that almost every bourbon lover is going to enjoy. I think you can't go wrong with a lot of those different things that are just out there and available to people in the way of gift sets and as Tyler likes to say, knickknacks and paddywhacks.
Give a dog a bone.
But thanks for joining in. This will be minus our bourbon trip and the Bourbon Kill 2 or 3 episodes and maybe a year recap that we might do. Probably our last episode outside of the bourbon trip. So thanks for joining in this year, guys. We really appreciate the support. If you get a chance, go in, join us, or give us a couple of reviews, 5 stars only. If you have some constructive criticism, send that to us separately. 5 stars on the app. Thanks a lot, guys. We will see you after these Bourbon Kill episodes. We'll see you next year. Thank you for joining us on yet another hunt for great bourbon. Please give us a 5-star review anywhere you are listening. But if you can't, leave some constructive criticism in the review so that we can get better at improving our show. Good reviews help us bring better guests on for your listening pleasure, not mine. But until then, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.